It's only when the individual perceives that they have an incongruence, and what I mean by congruence is how they perceive themselves isn't how they actually feel. There's something not quite right within them that we see clients present. And I don't know if that's been the experience for you in your practice, when people have come and said something isn't quite right, something feels not right for me, I want to explore it. And I see some heads nodding in the audience, so I'm not the only one, and that makes me happy. So that's a really good quote from Kirschenbaum and Henderson, and they say that incongruence in himself or herself, I guess, an attention of state which is known as anxiety. So how they perceive themselves and how they perceive themselves and how they are perceived gives this rise to anxiety. So I'm going to use some slides from The Matrix, okay, because The Matrix is a very existential film, and clients come when something's not quite right in their lives. Yeah, sometimes they know what it is, but sometimes they just say, it doesn't feel right. I feel anxious. I feel unwell. I'm not quite sure where I am. So sometimes, right at the beginning of therapy, clients may not even know what's wrong with them. They just know that something isn't right and it's causing them distress. And I guess as counsellors or therapists, we offer, for those who've seen the film, the blue pill or the red pill. Yeah? Flashing lights, so if you don't like flashing lights, look away. Yeah? All right. And the blue pill is you don't have to come, and they go away, and the world stays much the same. Yeah? The red pill, however, if you've watched The Matrix, is where people decide to look how far the rabbit hole goes. In other words, how much of themselves they want to explore. And that is the beginning, let's stand on the suite, of therapy. That's the point when clients engage in a therapeutic process. And we work on the edge of awareness. There's a lot said in person-centred therapy about where we work in terms of the client's process. Psychodynamic therapists generally work in the presenting past as it appears in the here and now. Person-centred therapists work on the edge of awareness. So we work on what the client kind of knows is happening but can't really get a handle on it, can't really understand where it's at. And our job as therapists or person-centred therapists is to try and help them find their truths, their absolute truth. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a model of Roger's ideas. I'm sure that anybody who's studied person-centred therapy will have heard of conditions of worth and introjected values and organismic valuing processes. I'm going to show you a little animated model, and I'm going to have to go on the computer and jump out of the PowerPoint and jump into another program. So you'll have to bear with me. Okay, so this is the ideal self, where we value our own experience and we're sure of ourselves in the world. Yeah? But what happens is, for some clients, this. What happens is that they live to introjected values and conditions of worth. So they're living to other people's ideals, other people's ideas of themselves, or fantasy ideas that they believe other people have. There's a lot of fantasy sometimes in client presentation where they believe things to be their absolute truth. But as they uncover that, it may be that that isn't the case. And it's at this point here, I guess in the model, where anxiety is, where people don't know who they are. And certainly I've worked with a lot of clients who've been survivors of mistreatment and abuse, and this is very clear to them. They don't know who they are. They don't know their organismic selves. They don't trust who they are. And as a therapist, the challenge for a person-centred therapist is to offer facilitative conditions, which I'll come to in a moment, to try and make the client understand their own process, try and help explore it together in a safe and non-judgmental way. And hopefully, whoops, as the therapy proceeds, we start to strengthen, the client strengthens their organismic valuing process. So very simply put, they strengthen their ability to trust themselves, to trust their own judgments and value themselves. And certainly with clients who've suffered mistreatment or abuse, that's massive. That really is massive. The ability for them to push the shame away, and with that, maybe move the anxiety out of the way and trust themselves. Right, let's hope this works now. So I'm going to look at the core conditions. Now, as you all know, Carl Rogers never used the words core conditions. He used the necessary and sufficient conditions for therapeutic change. More recent thinkers, Means and Thorne, have coined the term core conditions, but they're the facilitative part of the 6 conditions for therapeutic change. Empathy, seeing the client's frame of reference, trying to get really as close as possible to the client's story, walk in their shoes, making sure you've got your socks on in case you get a bit lost and you can't come out. Yeah, making sure that you're in the client's frame of reference, really understanding the material. Congruence, being genuine, being a real human person in a relationship. And these are challenges for therapists. This is what a lot of counsellor training is about. It's about understanding our own process as therapists so that we can better work with clients and understand how we're building that relationship. It's massively important, and certainly for clients who've suffered historic abuse or mistreatment in the past. And the final one is unconditional positive regard. Being non-judgmental, offering, again, the client a space where they don't feel judged. It's amazing how many clients that I've worked with over the years who felt that they'd been judged and told that they weren't worthy, told that somehow they weren't quite right. And as a therapist, to offer that humanistic warmth, to show the client that you are a human being and you're listening to them and you want to hear their story, is massively powerful. You can't easily measure it, but you can't measure love either. Yeah? So that's the challenge for the person-centred therapist. And Means and Thorne's right that it's probably the toughest therapy of all, because it relies on the therapist, not on techniques or a huge amount of theory. Rogers' theory is quite light, to be honest. So if you look at the role of unconditional positive regard, and I'm quoting from Bozarth, person-centred therapy.